Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video. Today I'm going over my companion video, Kill Teams That Need to Be Nerfed. So that's basically the counterpoint of Kill Teams That Need Buffs. So before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. Do you agree or disagree, or is there anything I've missed that you think? And then I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, as I said, this is going to be a companion piece from the buff video I did last week. You may notice my voice has gotten worse. This is actually the best it has been in the past few days, because it turns out, even though I'm actually better now, my voice is horrible, and this is actually the best it's been in the last 4 days. I'm actually shocked I'm able to even talk to you right now without doing my weird voice to talk. So hopefully it lasts through the video. If my voice changes, it's because it's gone. But the goal of this video is simple. I'm now going to go over the kill teams that need nerfs. So, I've covered the buffs, and once again, I'll go into nerfs. But before going further, please remember, this is trying not to be, like personal vendettas, right? This is me trying to be as subjective as possible, because there are kill teams I'm not mentioning that I would like to nerf, but I know there's no real justification for it at the moment. It's just my opinion. But this is I'm trying to do another unbiased look at the game. So let's get into it. So as per the Q3 2022 stats that I published recently, these are the 5 teams with a greater than 55% win rate when looking at GT Plus results. So tournaments with 16 or more players and 4 or more rounds. Because remember, anything above 55% isn't good. Anything above 60 is like danger territory, right? So it's a little bit weird if you don't look at the GT Plus results, because then technically Blooded count as an overperforming kill team. I think Blooded are fine. They have like a low usage rate, and I would say they need buffs, but they're fine. In GT Plus results, they're not doing as well as they are. So these are the 5 teams that are overperforming. So you've got the Imperial Navy Breachers, Pathfinders, Void Dancer Troupe, and then Hunter Clade and Gellerpox, or the Ross Gellerpox infected, who, like, those last 2 are over 60%, which is not good. Like, that's bad, right? So these are the teams that need nerfs according to the stats. And, like, if you asked a lot of competitive players, these would be the 5 best teams in the game. I would definitely say they're the 5 best teams in the game. And I think, even without the stats, they're such powerful teams that they kind of gatekeep a lot of the meta. But as I said, we're going off of the stats, and that's what the stats show. So let's go into the nerfs I would do for these teams. Especially as we are supposed to have a balanced data slate maybe this week or next week or like early January, like it's due. So maybe I might be right. We'll see. So for the Imperial Navy Breachers. So originally I wanted to go really extreme. And then everyone was like, John, your need for balance is too much. And you're like, okay, I was right. No, you guys are right. We can take it, because if they do it every 3 months, then it should be fine, right? So what I would do is make Brace for Counterattack either 2 command points or once per game. So what does this do? It gives them -1 damage with no cap on normal and crit damage, as long as they haven't made a move, shoot, or charge or attack action. So the thing is, it makes it really hard to punish this kill team when they haven't activated, and even then, if they dash and shoot, they are still at -1 damage. So it actually makes them really hard to kill, especially if they go 12 breachers, because they all have a minimum of 4-up save and they all have a lot of wounds. So originally, I think I was like 2 CP, but then when I saw the match play changes with extra command points, and considering how command point efficient this kill team is, I think you would have to make it once per game. But, I'm happy with 2 CP or once per game. So, I think that definitely needs to change, because I was speaking to some of the other, competitive players, and they were like, the main problem with Brace for Counterattack is being able to do it every turn. If you could only do it during turning points 1 or 2, or only 1 turning point, it would be fine. And I'm pretty much of that mindset. So either making it once per game or 2 CP would be enough. Then I would change stims. So currently stims give +1 wound to every model equipped and they're 1 equipment point. Originally, I wanted them to go to 3 equipment points, and a lot of people wanted them to go to 2. And then I realized, it doesn't even make sense that stims give extra wounds. You know what? Just make them work like adrenaline shots for Kazakin. So basically, they ignore the penalties of injury for movement when they activate during that activation. And I think at 1 equipment point, that would be fine, because they still have brace for counterattack. They still have a lot of wounds on their fighters, and they still have 4-up saves and basic immunity to blasts, right? The problem with stims is it makes them all minimum 8 wounds, but they have 3 models with 8 wounds, 4 models with 8 wounds, and 1 model with 10. So it basically makes them a 12 operative kill team with base 8 wounds going up to 11. It's not really fair, and it breaks the rules of their own design for what they look for with kill teams. So I think if you changed brace for counterattack to 2 CPL once per game and just made stims work like adrenaline shots, I think that would fix the kill team, in my opinion. The other issue is breach and clear, right? So the biggest problem I've seen and encountered is basically from turning point 2 onwards, people either using breach and clear just to activate melt and plasma and delete stuff, or the more problematic thing I've actually seen is using the skull and the spotter just to nuke something. So it's more damaging against people with 4 up save or more because it's an EMP blast. But it's basically a one activation combo because of you can make the skull and the gunner GA2 together. So there's no counterplay. You basically have turning point 1 to position, so everyone's as spaced out as possible, and then you just have to take it. The breaches do lose the skull in the trade, but the thing is, if you put attack order on the gunner, then he gets rerolls and EMPs, and the problem is because you don't measure from the center of the skull, you measure from the skull, and the skull can fly to anywhere on open boards. It basically makes this EMP nuke. That unless you're an elite team, you kind of just have to pray the Imperial Navy player rolls low. So if you fix those first 2 problems, and then in 3 months' time, there's still a problem kill team on open boards, I would auto breach and clear. But basically the first 2 points apply. That's all I would do. Now for Pathfinders, right? They've had so many nerfs, and these are nerfs that I have been championing for months now. Pretty sure I've been championing these for months, maybe even a year now. But what I would do is reduce the roster size from 13 to 12 and make high intensity marker lights 3 equipment points instead of 2. So the main problem with Pathfinders is they have too many operatives and they're way too efficient with marker lights. So at the moment you can take a leader and 12 operatives. So making that a leader and 11 means if they go to a recon, they've got a leader and 10. So I think that's a needed change because there's no point capping the gunners. Because if you cap the gunners, people just take more Shazlas and then laugh because then they get more marker lights. So that doesn't do anything. And then high intensity marker lights need to go up by 1. Because at the moment, all you really take is 5 high intensity marker lights or 4 high intensity marker lights and 2 climbing gear. And you just lay down a hail fire of marker lights. So if they just go up to going from 5 high intensity marker lights to 3 is a huge change. And I think that would help with balance a lot. There's not much that needs changing. I mean, preferably I would have marker lights reworked completely, but that'd probably come when the game gets a full update. But I think these changes would be enough. Now, Void Dancer Troupe, they've surprisingly done really well over quarter 3, but I don't think it's a surprise. They're a really solid kill team. They have more counters now, but remember they ignore most of the rules for the game. They have the best tac ops in the game, and arguably the best overall operatives in the game. So what I would do is no extra CP whatsoever from getting 4 SADF points, because they don't need it, especially as the game has now added extra CP for everyone. They just don't need it. And then the other thing is I would make support grip either 2 equipment points, 3 equipment points, or 4 equipment points. Now you may ask, John, why have you picked so many equipment point values? And my answer is, apparently, the main reason the support grip is 1 equipment point was because playtesters didn't like having 1 spare equipment point, because everything is basically 3 points. So my rationale is the support grip is too cheap. It's auto include. You either make it free on the roster, as an inbuilt rule, or you make it cost more points. So the only reason I've said 4 equipment points is to go, oh, you'll complain that you have 1 spare equipment point at the in every game. Fine, you can pick 2 free equipment point things and a 4 equipment point. Like, it can go up by whatever amount. It just can't be 1. So that's the only reason I've made these changes. Like, and I think with these little tweaks, the kill team's fine. Like, well, it's not fine. Like, they shouldn't all have fly, and they shouldn't all be APL free. But I think these changes would be enough, right? They do have a lot more like harder counters at the moment, but I think these changes are enough just to bring them down. Like, it's just enough. Now, Hunter Clade. So, as you know, per the balanced data slate, they had a lot of changes, and I think they needed a lot of changes. The only change that broke them was the gain an extra assassin, so they go from 4 to 5. I would not remove that assassin, even though that's probably what's going to happen. I would replace that extra assassin with an extra vanguard or ranger warrior. So you just can take a normal guy. And I think that's fine. Like, them just having an extra ranger or vanguard to score, like, recon tac ops is fine. And I don't think there would be an issue with that. The problem why the assassin is a big problem, because the assassin is 10 wounds and they add so much more than a single vanguard or ranger Skazari. So I would do that. But if people want 5 assassins, I would still allow the kill team to do that, but you only allow them to take 5 assassins if they take a leader. Because at the moment, you always take the vanguard leader because you let group activate too. But let's say people wanted to run 5 assassins and then like 6 vanguard warriors or whatever. Just make them take the leader instead. So like you could take a leader assassin, so either a leader infiltrator or rust stalker, and then a mix of 4 rust stalkers and infiltrators. And even though basically no one will do that because everyone will take the vanguard alpha because of the GA2, at least it gives people who have already built an extra assassin the option to use that at the cost of a powerful operative. So I think that's all that's needed, because Hunter Clade really needed those helps. Like, they really did. And with the tac-op changes, I think this is all you really need for them. Oh, and I forgot this last thing. This is one of the most important thing. So the Aquabus cannot benefit from obscuring. So the problem with the Aquabus is because of its base. It comes on like a 75mm oval base, and this oval base is dumb. Oval bases should not exist in Kill Team. I am sick of every time I play Hunter Clade players, they try and teach me trigonometry with their oval bases. And when I'm using the Aquabus, you can just do so many things with the oval base. So I would personally make the Aquabus as a rule can't benefit from obscuring. But one thing I've seen is like while engaged, it can't benefit from obscuring. And I think either change is fine. It's just because of how bases and cover lines work in Kill Team that oval bases are just broken. I hope GW never adds another model with oval bases to the game because it's so dumb, just because of how cover lines work. And with that change, that's the only thing Hunter Clade. These are the only things Hunter Clade need. Forgot to add it, but I did remember. So there we go. Now, Gellerpox Infected. This team has been doing crazy well. Even in October, they had a 66% win rate with a really good representation rate. And there's a lot of things that need fixing with this kill team, right? So what I would do first is reduce Techno Curse ranges from blue and red to white and blue respectively. So at the moment, if you are within blue of any Gellerpox infected operative, you're -1 attack dice on your ranged weapons. And then if you're within red of a Glitchling, which is their Nurgling, it's -1 as well. But the problem is the ranges are too big, right? It's just too much. I think if you reduced it to white and blue, because the main problem why it's broken on the Glitchlings is because Glitchlings have super conceal, that they can just hide behind any operative, and if you get near them, you basically have to be within white to shoot them. And I think if you reduce the ranges, it makes them easier to be shot at, but not super easy, because they can still spread out this bubble. But the moment the bubble of denying -1 damage is way too big. It's huge. And I think that just needs to be reduced to make them more friendly to play against. Because at the moment, if they're on a dense board, they just shut down shooters. Because you go, okay, because this change won't affect, if you basically want to shoot them, you have to be within white. but this stops them just shutting down shooting completely when they're in your face. Because you go like, okay, I've got 4 Nightmare Hulks within red of my drop zone and my operatives, but then I've got 4 Glitchlings with super conceal within like 5 inches or red as well. So I can't actually engage these guys without just sacrificing operatives. Next, I would change Revolting and Resilient to -1 damage from a 5+ DPR. So DPR is damage prevention roll, as coined by the Honest Wargamer. And basically, 5-up DPRs are just bad. Like, what I really liked about Games Workshop was when they had 40k 9th edition, they changed all these 5-up DPRs just to -1 damage, and it helps so much. Because at least with -1 damage, it's easy for both players to play around, it's reliable, and it doesn't slow down the game. 5-up DPR rolls slow down the game so much, and they're so swingy. Like, the main problem is, if you are a person with an operative with a 5-up DPR, you have to play with them as if they're going to fail every roll. But your opponent has to do the opposite. They have to overcommit, do more damage than necessary, because they have to factor in that there's a chance you could pass these damage prevention rolls. And it's really unfun for both players, because basically, if the attacker has most of their damage negated on these 5-up rolls, they get pissed off. And then if the defender fails all their 5-up DPR rolls, then they get pissed off. At least with -1 damage, the way they did with Nurgle from Legionnaires, it's fine. You can go like, okay, now I need to know how much damage I need to put in. Remember, Nightmare Hulks have 18 wounds, the leader has 19, the Plague Bearers have 7, and the Glitchlings have 3, right? It have so many operatives, it's so many wounds to eat through, it would just speed up the game. Like, it would just be so much better. The other thing I would do is Volgor doesn't generate extra CP. This kill team is actually very CP efficient, and like the biggest problem is Volgor doesn't even have to control the objective he's on. It just has to be a different objective, so you can suicide him onto objectives knowing you're going to get the extra commanding point at the start of the turning point. So even if you dash onto an objective through like scouting, you now just get, like, it gives you the extra command point. And now everyone starts with extra command points. They really don't need it, because potentially you could get 4 extra command points in the game with this, but generally you're getting 2 to 3, which is way too much. Like, they don't need it. They have so many good things, they just don't need the extra CP at all. You could make it once per game, but now everyone gets extra CP, just remove it. And then the last thing is I would make mutoids, their equipment, count for opponent stack ups only. Because the biggest problem I see with these mutoids, because people generally take 4. They take 3 flies and a flea, or 3 fleas and a fly, or a mix, right? So they basically get 4 extra activations to waste yours. But not only do they do that, they suicide them into you, and like, they waste your time. And the problem is, they have no downside for doing that. The only thing is, like, it's -1 APL for you to dash. Instead of costing 2 APL, it's 1 APL for you to dash out of combat with them. But there's so much free reign. Making them at least count for your opponent's tac ops will force them to play fairer. Because at the moment, they have 15 operatives. It's too much. They have the most operatives in the game, ignoring this silly compendium orcs thing with grots, right? And it's just too much for people to deal with, along with the Nightmare Hulks. And I think if you did these tweaks to mutoids and everything else, it does sound extreme, like everything that is here. But remember, this kill team has now had 2 months of over 60% and 1 month of having 66%. Like, they went from 56 to 66 to 64. It is not healthy, this kill team. Like, they really do need these nerfs. But I don't think they will happen. But I think if you did this, I would enjoy playing them more as well as playing into them more, because they're still good. It just tones them down to be bearable. This is the Nerfs overview, So we're at the end. Not too long, because oddly, the teams that need nerfs only need minor tweaks. They're not like the teams who need buffs. The teams who need buffs need like salvation, way more salvation. The kill teams who need nerfs, realistically, outside of Ross Gellerpox infected, only need minor tweaks, little tweaks, Well, I mean, breaches do count as a big tweak for what I want, but it's only 2 things, right? And I think it's not eliminating the strong tools a kill team has. it's making them fairer and less gatekeepy. Because the problem we have with these 5 kill teams is they are gatekeeping the meta. Like, Intercession really struggle with breaches. Gellerpox aren't great. Like, they're still not good into Gellerpox, but breaches really mess them up, as well as Pathfinders and Hunter Clade, because Hunter Clade can just throw 5 Rust Stalkers with dual blades into Legionary and Intercession and just laugh. Like, oh, you've got 6 Marines, I've got 5 Assassins that will kill you in combat. Oh, and then I've got 5 other operatives with 3 crazy gunners that will delete you. So it's just like, you know, these teams need some tweaking just to help with balance. And I think it would make the game healthy overall. And as I showed, it's just minor tweaks. You don't need huge changes. And the great thing with like 3 monthly data slates is if they're not working or if they're too much, you can tweak them a bit every 3 months. But, you know, like as I said with the buffs, I don't expect many or any of these to happen, especially with the Gellerpox. But like Gellerpox needs something done to them. And it'll be interesting to see what Games Workshop does, as, you know, we'll have a balanced data slate maybe this week. Maybe next week, who knows? It's due December, might be delayed for early January, but we'll see. We'll see. But that's pretty much it from me. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of my nerfs. Do you think I was fair, unfair? Are there any teams I missed? Don't mention compendium teams, because no one, like, compendium teams aren't happening, guys. I mean, and if you wanted compendium teams nerfed, why? Like, why? But yeah, I've also got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below for free, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So quickly thank my patrons. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Samaru, Sam, Ninja Lee 83, Kenzie, John Thomas, Captain Murder, Dave, Daniel, Average Joe 27, and Adzik. And then for my Veterans of the Crit, I have Samja. So thank you so much for supporting me. Your support really means so much and helps improve the channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. My voice is dying. Hopefully I have enough time to record another video this week. I'm aiming to have another video this week. And then, yeah, at the weekend and Saturday, I should be at Warhammer World for the Kill Team tournament. Hopefully, weather and strikes depending. Hopefully I have a voice by then. My voice is about to die. But yeah, this is a nice look. Nice relaxed look. And then hopefully some fun at the tournament. So remember, if you're there, say hi. But until next time, no matter what nerfs happen to your kill team, remember there's always hope as long as you can roll a crit.